Have you ever stopped to think about what's actually going on inside your body when you make a split-second decision? Well, today, we're going to take a journey through the most complex and incredible network you'll ever own, your nervous system. Let's get right into it. You know the feeling, right? You touch something hot and your hand just recoils like it has a mind of its own before your brain even has a chance to register, hey, that's hot. That's not magic, my friends. That is your body's amazing internal wiring in action. So this whole knee-jerk reaction, it's the perfect example of a neural signal on a mission. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to follow a single message, just like this one, from the very first spark all the way to its final destination, to really understand how our body communicates with itself at, well, lightning speed. Okay, so to get a handle on the network, first we've got to meet the messenger. And let me tell you, the absolute hero of this entire story is a tiny, super specialized cell called the neuron. Think of neurons as the living wires and microprocessors of your body. They are the fundamental building blocks, the things responsible for carrying every single signal, every thought, every feeling, every sensation you've ever had. It all starts right here, with this one cell. Now, a neuron isn't just some simple blob. Its shape is perfectly designed for one-way communication. It has parts made specifically for catching a signal, parts for processing it, and a part for sending it on its way. So let's break it down real quick. You've got the dendrites. These act like little antennas, picking up signals from other neurons. That signal then scoots over to the cell body, which is basically the neuron's command center. If the signal is strong enough, bam, it gets fired down this long cable, the axon, all the way to the end, to the synaptic knob, which acts like a little transmitter that passes the message to the next cell in line. So we've met the messenger, the neuron, but what about the message itself? I mean, what is it? It's not a letter, it's not some fluid flowing down a tube. The message, it's a tiny, brilliant spark of electricity. And this is the secret sauce right here. The reason a neuron can fire an electrical signal is because even when it's just sitting there resting, it's like a tiny, fully charged battery. It's constantly holding this electrical tension, just waiting for a trigger to set it off. So here's how that tiny battery works. When it's in its resting state, the neuron is busy pumping positive sodium ions out. This makes the outside of the cell positively charged, while the inside stays negatively charged, full of potassium ions. This imbalance is what we call the resting potential. It's like a loaded spring, just coiled up and ready to be released. And here comes the release. When a stimulus hits that neuron, tiny gates on its surface just fly open. All those positive sodium ions that were outside, they come flooding into the cell. And in an instant, the charge flips. The inside becomes positive, the outside becomes negative. And this flip, it triggers the next set of gates to open, and then the next, creating this incredible chain reaction, an electrical wave that just zips down the axon. That is the action potential. That is the nerve impulse. You can almost see that wave moving here, can't you? See how the charge flips at one point, which causes the next point to flip, and so on down the line. The signal doesn't get weaker, it actually regenerates itself at every single point, traveling the entire length of the axon with the same speed and strength. It's amazing. Okay, so our electrical spark has raced to the end of the wire, the axon terminal. But here's the catch. Neurons don't actually touch each other. There's a microscopic gap between them. So how in the world does the message make that leap to the next neuron? This special junction is called the synapse, and that little fluid-filled space you see is the synaptic cleft. Our electrical message can't just zap across that gap. It's got to get a little more clever. Now, I should mention there are a few rare cases in our body called electrical synapses. Here, the neurons are so close that the electrical current can just pass directly. It's super, super fast, but it's not how things usually work. Nope. Most of the time, our body uses a much more complex, much more versatile method, the chemical synapse. And this is where things get really wild. The signal has to completely transform from electrical to chemical and then back to electrical again. So let's walk through it. Our electrical impulse arrives at the end of the line. This arrival triggers the release of these little chemical messengers. They're called neurotransmitters. These chemicals float across that tiny gap and then they lock into specific receptors on the next neuron, kind of like a key fitting into a lock. And that simple action, the key turning in the lock, opens up the gates on the next neuron, starting a brand new electrical wave. The message has been passed on. So we just watched one single microscopic handoff. Pretty cool, right? But what happens when you chain trillions of these events together? Well, that single spark passing from one cell to the next becomes the foundation for absolutely everything we do, everything we feel. So let's zoom out and see the big picture. Remember touching that hot object? In a reflex, that signal from your hand doesn't waste time traveling all the way up to your brain for a committee meeting. No way. It takes a shortcut. The sensory neuron zips the hot signal straight to the spinal cord, and the spinal cord immediately fires back a move signal to the muscle. It's a life-saving automatic loop that is built for one thing: pure, unadulterated speed. But for almost every other signal, the sight of a friend's face, the sound of your favorite song, the feeling of a cool breeze, the message doesn't take that shortcut. No, this one's headed for the main event. It's going all the way up to the command center. And here it is, the command and control system of your entire body, the brain. This is the ultimate destination for countless signals, where they all get processed, interpreted, and acted upon. It's the central hub for this whole massive communication network. And the brain's job is just immense. It's what lets you walk across a room without falling over. It's what translates light hitting your eyes into a face you recognize, and vibrations in the air into a piece of music. It's where you store memories, solve puzzles, feel joy, and all the while, it's quietly in the background, making sure your heart keeps beating and your lungs keep breathing without you ever having to give it a second thought. So when you boil it all down, here's the bottom line. Whether it's an unconscious reflex or the conscious effort of learning something brand new, it all comes down to the same fundamental process: an electrical spark traveling down one cell, becoming a chemical message to cross a gap, and starting a new spark in the next one. I mean, think about it. Billions upon billions of those signals have fired in your brain just in the last few minutes so you could watch and process this. The exact same elegant, high-speed journey of an electrical spark is happening inside your head right now, forming your very next thought. So the only question is, what will you think of next?